So first thing, a little bit about me. My name, like I said, Morgan Stradling. I'm a senior product manager here at GoDaddy. And actually one of the services that I'm a product manager for is called SEO services. So it's basically a do it for you service where we do SEO for you. If your business has, it's just something that you don't want to do on your own, you can pay us and we will go ahead and we will do the SEO strategy for you. So very, very familiar with SEO and strategy. And what this webinar is going to cover, it's just going to cover the basics. So we're going to talk about the why of SEO. Like, why does it even matter? Then we're going to break down what it is, because it's one of those things that you probably hear all the time. And as a small business may not know what exactly that is at all. So we're going to dive into that. And then we're going to dive into breaking it down as far as how it works and what you would need to do to really optimize for SEO. And then we're going to end with 3 easy things that you can start doing today to start gaining traction for SEO. So let's go into the why. So for this, I want to start off with a story. So if you're driving to and from work, you probably see tons of these billboards. Some are probably, if you take the same route every day, it's probably the same billboards over and over and over again. They may change them from time to time, or you may drive to a new place and see some new billboards. But these are advertisements. We're bombarded with them all day, every day. And let's say one day you actually pay attention to one of these billboards and you notice it's a particular billboard for a company, for a small local company called Jim's Plumbing. You think, oh, cool, that guy must have paid really big money for this, and off you go with your day. You don't think anything else more about Jim's Plumbing or the billboard, off you go. So then it's a few days later, and you're driving in your car again, right? You're passing these billboards, and you hear a radio ad. And it's for that same guy. It's for Jim's Plumbing. He has a little special that he's running right now and has a fun little jingle. You're like, oh, okay, Jim's Plumbing, interesting. And so let's say a few weeks go by and you haven't even thought about Jim's Plumbing in those weeks, and it's the middle of the night and you're sleeping and you hear a large bang in the other room, and you jump out of bed, you run into the kitchen and you see water everywhere. There's water on the carpet in the other room, it's on the floor, it's on the ceiling. It's a disaster and you need a plumber now, obviously. So in this moment of crisis, what are you going to do? Well, for most of us, unless you are a plumber yourself and you could just fix it right then and there, you're probably going to pull out your phone and start searching, right? You're going to type plumber, Sydney, Australia. And if that's not going to get you the exact answer that you're looking for, you're probably going to modify your search and do something even more specific, such as emergency plumbing, Sydney, Australia, or 24/7 emergency plumbing. You need somebody now to fix it. And so here's an example of just a phone search. And as you're scrolling, you see some ads up at the top. You're like, I don't have time for ads. I just want to see someone that I trust or I know, or someone that looks reputable. So you're scrolling down and lo and behold, what do you see? You see good old Jim, who you recognize from the billboard. You recognize him from the radio ad. And you think, hey, I know this guy. I'm going to call him. And you call him. 15 minutes later, he comes out to your house and he saves the day. So way to go, Jim, and way to go, SEO, because this guy had such great SEO presence. He was able to be found in the moment of crisis when his customers were searching for him. And that's really what SEO is. So one statistic that I love to mention is that 88% of people they search online before they start buying. And this makes sense, right? Anytime we're making a purchase, whether it is big or small, we do some research. Most of the time, we go online, we look up prices and we compare. We look up photos of the item to see what it looks like. We'll do comparison of different competitors, a variety of things, right? And this could be something as quick as 30 seconds. We compare, we do quick little bit of research, off we go. Or for a bigger purchase, it could be something that takes a few weeks and we're spending a lot of time deep diving. And so this really is the first place that people go. It is the new yellow pages, right? If back in the day, if we were looking for a service or a product, we would go to the yellow pages and we would just look there. But now people start online. And a few years ago when I was doing this same webinar or these trainings, this number was much lower. It was 81%. So it's very interesting that just in a few years, this number is continuing to climb. And so these are where your customers are. And so this is another reason why it's so important for you to be found where the customers are looking, just to kind of set the landscape of the search results and how big it is. There are over 63,000 search queries every second. Just think about that. thousands upon thousands just every second. And this leads to, for Google alone, 167 billion Google searches happen every month just on Google, which is can't even fathom that many searches. And in this webinar, just I'm going to stop right here. When I mentioned Google, this statistic specifically is talking about Google, but from here on out, I'm going to be using the term Google and search engines almost interchangeably, and that's because Google really is the 167 billion pound gorilla in the room. When you are optimizing for Google, you are optimizing for the other search engines as well. Google is the name that we know and trust. And the reason we know and trust Google and people constantly are going to Google and there hasn't really been anyone bigger or better to come around is because Google has mastered providing us the answers, the best answers for the questions that we are searching for. Whether it is something as simple as when's this new movie coming out, or what are the spoilers for Avengers Endgame, right? Or if it's something more specific or something that's more meteor, I guess you would say, relating to a product or service. For example, emergency plumbing Sydney, Australia. Google time and time again, and that's its business model is being the best answer when people search. And another thing about SEO are the clicks that happen. And we're going to talk about the different parts of a search engine page, but 84% of the clicks are organic, meaning they are not the ads. So people skip over the ads immediately and they go to what they trust, right? Because like I said in that example earlier, we're constantly bombarded with ads on a daily, if not hourly basis. And so we're kind of conditioned to just skip over the ads. And the ads are still important and they're valuable and they work. But SEO at its core are these non-ads, the ones that organically have proven to Google that they are the best answer for those search terms. So breaking down the definition of SEO, and this is really important for us to understand what SEO is and what it means, because we'll build on that later in the webinar. So search engine, SEO stands for search engine optimization. And I like to describe it, it's the work that goes into showing the search engines that you are the most relevant answer and the most trusted source for queries relating to your product or service. So there's three things that I need to break down there. One, it's work, right? And for the majority of websites and businesses, it doesn't just happen. You don't just appear on the first page unless you are in the middle of nowhere and you literally are the only person or business that does that certain thing, right? Bigger, more competitive industries, if you're not actively doing SEO, your competitors are, and you won't be found. Okay, so it is work that we have to do, and that's just business. That's just life. It's a competitive world out there. But there's two pieces to SEO that is really the formula for SEO. It's you have to be the most relevant answer and the most trusted source. And we're gonna deep dive into each of those pieces and what you need to do to be both of those for Google. Because if you are both of those, if Google says, hey, this is the most relevant and the most trusted, they're going to rank you. So this is an example of a search engine results page, also known as a SERP. You're probably incredibly familiar with this, whether on your desktop or on your mobile device. We're going here all the time, right? Looking for a restaurant, looking for a new vacuum, whatever. And so this is what we are very, very familiar with and what we need to make sure that we understand so we understand how we need to appear there. I've broken it down into the three main sections of the SERP, which are the paid ads, and those typically appear at the top. The local map listings, which are very big and vibrant, and they have this map component that makes it very easy and visual for people to see. Takes up a lot of real estate on the search engine results page. And lastly, the organic results. And depending on whether this is a local search that you're doing, the local map listings may not appear. So it could just be paid ads and organic results that appear. So let's dive into each one of these pieces. So first up are paid ads. And these are clickable advertisements that appear within search results. They're also known as pay-per-click or PPC because the way that it works is that the advertiser or the business that is running the ads, they pay Google every time their ad is clicked. So an example is if you have $1,000 PPC budget, or it's known as AdWords if you're using it on Google or Google AdWords. If you have $1,000 budget, and let's say and every search term has different rates that Google will charge you if someone clicks through to your ad and goes to your website. And let's say in this example, it's very, very simplified. Plumber Sydney. If someone clicks on this first one, it's $1 per click. So the way that this works is now if I had a $1,000 ad budget, it's now down to $999. And then as more and more people click, that ad budget goes down until 1,000 people click, and then I have no more ad budget. So something very key, even though you get prime placement, you're right at the top. You're basically right where you've done your search. When you run out of ads or when you run out of a budget, you go away. Poof, you're gone. So it's really a pay to play to be here, but they are incredibly effective, right? You're right at the top. People do trust Google inherently, and so they do trust the ads. So it's just something to pay attention to. It's part of a marketing online marketing strategy, and but again, with SEO, our goal is not to appear in these paid ads. We want to appear naturally. So the next piece is the local map listings. So these are the answers for local businesses for a certain search term. So these don't apply to every search term or every business. It's only a local business with like a location that or a service area that they service, right? And to appear here, you have to have really, really great SEO for your website. You have to prove into Google that you're the most relevant and the most trusted for that search. But then on top of that, you have to have an optimized Google My Business page. And a Google My Business page, which I'll just go right here, is basically this one-stop shop for everything about your business. It has your business name, it has reviews, it links to your website, it shows your hours of operation and your phone number, big photos. It's really, really great because again, we trust Google and Google's created their own little business card for you, which is called Google My Business. Now you'll notice that the real estate here is very limited. This is known as the Google 3-pack. It used to be the Google 7-pack a few years ago, but Google is constantly changing the way that they're displaying search results, and they've decided recently that 3 is the number. You can click down at the bottom and it'll go to more businesses and it will break down so many more businesses. But right here, if you want to appear in these pins with your business names, you see the red pin on the map with the business, right? If you want to appear there, you have to, again, not only prove that you have great SEO, but prove that you have a great optimized page. And one way that you do optimize your Google My Business page is first off, you have to either create or claim one. So you can go to google.com/business, and that's where you can go to get started. Interesting enough is your business can exist and you may not even know that you have one of these. Users go in and can create these for you. So it's actually 56% of local retailers haven't even claimed their Google My Business account, which is such a missed opportunity because when you own it and you claim it, you're able to go in and again, own all the content on there. Make sure that your hours of operation are correct. Make sure your phone number is correct. You know, this example right here for Jim's Plumbing, which is actually a legit plumber in Sydney, Australia, right? He's been able to go in and put these fantastic photos so I can see a little bit of branding. It's this bright green. He has great reviews, which I can see. So this is a really great profile because he's gone in. And with Google My Business, you can also go and manage uh, respond to reviews when people comment, and there's a whole bunch. So it's not just having one of these, although you will see in this example, the third one that appears just says Plumber Sydney. I'm not sure if this is actually the business's name, but I have seen it before where it's one of these user submitted businesses and all it says is, for example, dog groomer. And there's nothing about the business other than the fact that there is a business here that exists. There's no hours of operation, there's no phone number, there's a really blurry photo, huge missed opportunity for that business owner. So go in, optimize your Google My Business profile. And optimizing means more than just adding your name, phone number, hours of operation. It's responding to those comments, adding a ton of photos. Any field that you can add information, your business, your service area, there's places that you can add so much. Go in and do it. That's what Google wants to see if you want to appear in this section. Then the last part are the organic search results. And these are all the way down at the bottom of the page, or maybe in the middle of the page, or for some searches, there may not be ads for those search topics. And so you might actually just appear right at the top. It really just depends on what's happening with those other two players. But these are pages of your website that show up in the organic search section when someone searches your keyword, for example, Plumber Sydney. And this is the sweet spot. This is where you want to be because when you have proven to Google that you are the best answer for those searches, you're going to stay there. Unlike paid ads where, you may be a pretty good plumber, but once your ad budget's gone, Google doesn't care anymore. They want to make money, right? That's how they stay in business is through advertising. But with this, Google also stays in business by being a great search result or search engine. And so, with this, when you put in the time and the effort for SEO and you've really done it the right way, you will stay there. And then by being on this page, like we said, this is where your customers are. Um, Most people are not going to the second page of the search results page to, see what else is there. Something like 99% are on the first page. And then they'll either go and change their search result or their search keywords because they realize, okay, I didn't find my answer here. I'm going to change it. So if you're not on the first page, you're essentially dead. So just going back and talking about this again, paid ads up at the top, local map listings in the middle if this is a local search, and then organic results. So how do you get down? What do you have to do to appear in the organic results? That's the how. So again, we're going back to this example. I talked about SEO is the work that goes into proving that you are the most relevant answer and the most trusted. That's the equation, right? Relevance plus trust equals SEO rankings. So relevance, this is everything on your website that you do. So you own this. And you control that, which is great. But the other factor is anything off your website about your business. So on other people's websites, essentially, which is another factor. And we're going to talk about why that's important. So let's talk about just everything on your website. So this is your website. This is your source code. This is the content on your website. And before we talk about any of these, I've been mentioning the word keywords. It's pretty self-explanatory, but it's still we should break it down. And these are phrases relating to your business, products, or services that your users are searching for. These may be very, very simple, such as dog groomer Sydney, or they may be longer phrases. For example, what is the best dog groomer in Sydney, Australia, right? Whole variety of things. And the competitiveness of what will show up is based on two things. It's based on the location of your business or the city that you're located in. For example, if you're in a very small city versus a very large city, it's going to be easier to rank in the small, less competitive city. And then on the flip side, if you're a national business, you serve all of Australia, that's going to be even more competitive to rank than just one city, even if it was a big city like Sydney, because you're wanting anytime anyone searches just dog groomer, right, to find you. And so I'm going to use an example here just to kind of give this, to show the difference in this competitiveness. So I use two different examples, dog groomer Sydney and lawyer Sydney, right? It's pretty self-explanatory. Lawyers, that is big business. There are a lot of them. And as a result, there are a lot of searches. 224 million search results appear when someone types this versus dog groomer Sydney. There's really only about 600,000 results. Still incredible amount, right? It could go on for pages and pages and pages looking at these, but this shows the difference, even though it's the same exact city, in industries, how some are more competitive than others. And again, this isn't anything really technical. This is just kind of what I do to eyeball market size and search, how many results are going to be appearing. On the flip side, you can do this by comparing the same industry, but different cities, right? So here's dog groomer Sydney. It's the 600,000, which we saw before. But if you change it to a different city, which I believe is Queen Bayan, right? About a third of the results are going to appear, to around 200,000. So a much smaller city with so it's probably going to be easier for a dog groomer in that city to rank. They still have to do SEO, but not to the extent that the dog groomer in Sydney would have to do, or the lawyer in Sydney. And even, yeah. Okay, so that is keywords. And now we're going to go on to your website. And keywords are super important because those are what you want your customers are typing those. So you need to make sure that everything on your website relates to those keywords, right? If Google goes and looks at your website and it's just your name, a pretty picture, and your phone number, Google's going to look and say, if you're a dog groomer, they're going to say, well, this says nothing about dog grooming. So it must not be a relevant answer. And so they're not going to rank you. They're going to go and look for someone else, right? So you need to really make sure that those keywords are found all within your website to give indicators to Google that, hey, this is something that I do. Not only just your location and your business, but your products and services. Maybe there's a very specific type of thing that you specialize in. It's going to have less search volume because it's more niche, but if you're the best at it, you need to let Google and ultimately your users know. We're doing all of this work, yes, for Google, but the main reason is for the end users. And on this page, you can see there is a difference between how your users or your customers see your website and how Google sees your website. You know, you can have the most beautiful website in the world and people love it, but again, if it has no content that's relevant to your business industry or those search terms, those keywords, then Google, they just see this and they see nothing, right? They say, okay, never mind, this is not good. On the flip side, you can actually have a pretty ugly website as far as today's standards go. However, if the content is so great that Google loves it and is providing answers to those search terms, Google's going to rank you. I've seen some very, very, very sad looking websites that rank on the first page. It's because they just have so much amazing content that how could you not rank them above someone that maybe spent a couple $1,000s on a website, but really it's nothing at the end of the day. So again, the source code, this is just the back end code, the coding of your website. And we are playing in Google's sandbox, and these are their rules, right? We're playing their game, and so we need to learn the rules and play to win. And so there's certain ways that Google likes to have your website coded that makes it easier for the robots and the crawlers that Google has that's constantly they're just going around all the websites on the internet. Google wants to make it very, very easy for those bots to do their job. And so you need when you're optimizing your website and your source code, you need to have things like a title and H1 tag, meta description, image alt tags. These are things that may not be obvious, and a lot of modern platforms for websites, these will already inherently populate. If you put a title for your website, it'll make sure that it's coded as a title tag. But it is best practice to make sure that you know what these are and they're coded in the way that um, will rank for those keywords. So for example, a title tag, if you're a dog groomer in Sydney, maybe for your page you want you should put that in there for the title tag. That's really key to have that particular keyword in your title tag. Title tags cannot be super long. Depends whether you're on mobile or not, but 50 to 70 characters. And then the meta description is you can have a longer description. But again, this is where you have another opportunity to put even more information, right? Because the title just is a little snippet. It's just high level about what you do. But the meta description, you might be able to go into a little more. Maybe you might be able to add a few more markets that maybe there's 3 markets that you serve, put all of those in there or whatnot. But again, we are doing this so that way the users who are looking at this search and then look at your website, so it makes sense for them. If you're just stuffing keywords in this section and just saying dog grooming, teeth cleaning, and then all of your locations and every product and service that you can ever think of, a user's going to look at that and think, I don't know what this is just spam, and they're not going to click. And by them not clicking, Google's going to take that as an indicator that, hey, this isn't a good site. They're going to rank you lower versus someone that just, this first example here, the Puppuccino Pet Spa, Sydney, our professionally trained and internationally acclaimed dog groomers are some of the finest in Australia. And it goes on, we use organic and chemical-free grooming, ... Right? So this one wasn't necessarily optimized for their meta description because it just kind of trails off at the end of that sentence. If you were to do this properly, like the second company, you see that, well, they kind of did it as well. But you would want there not to be these ... in the middle of your sentence, right? You'd want it to be very succinct, to the point, talk about what you do. But the Puppuccino Pet Spa is pretty good for the most part because it gives this the sense of very, very professional atmosphere, uh, critically acclaimed, right? So I feel like I'm going to a place that will keep my dog in great, great hands. So again, that's the meta description. I'm going to go on. So these are things, again, you control on your website. In your actual website, you go and populate those, and then Google then takes those and puts them on the search result when you pop up. So here's an example, the title tag. Typically on your website, this will appear up here in the tab. It might be truncated a little bit. If you just hover over it, you can see the full title tag. And then we were talking about meta descriptions. Another tag that you would need is called an H1 tag. Basically, it's just a category page for that website. So this is the products page for the bluewheelers.com, specifically for their dog washing service. It's important to break down your services into individual products and services, because that's another indicator when someone's specifically searching dog washing. Google sees that you actually have a page just for that, and they're going to rank that if the content is good and it's structured the right way. I see a lot of times customers and small businesses, they'll just want to stuff so much information into one page. And again, that's not very targeted. Again, when Google's looking at that, they're like, wow, they do all sorts of things, but are they an expert in this? It seems like they do a lot. So yes, you can have a services page. It's important to there, but on the services page, you should then link to some of your other services or products that you are known for. Again, if you have 150 products or services, you might want to just pick your top ones and start from there and really build authority in those specific ones. The example that I use all the time is if you are a poodle groomer and you do the best toy poodle grooming this side of the Pacific, then you definitely want to have a page for that, because even though the search volume on that is going to be much lower, there's not that many toy poodle owners. Who knows? Maybe there are, but they're probably not searching that as much as just general dog grooming. That's something where you can prove to Google that, hey, this is a niche space and I'm actually the best. And it will be easier for you to rank in those longer tail keywords. Longer tail keyword is something that typically has 4+ words or part of the phrase where you're just getting more and more specific with the keyword, and so less people are going to be searching that specificity. So just to go one more time with the source code, again, this is how it looks like when you actually dive into the website code. This is what it looks like to Google, and this is really the only thing that they care about. One other thing that I do want to add, there's image alt tags. So for example, this photo right here of this chow being washed, Google can't read photos. That's not its specialty, it's just a bot, right? And so there's something that you can do for all the images on your website to make sure that they are optimized, so that way Google knows what this image is. It's sort of like Braille almost for the blind. It's able to read it and see, okay, I get an idea what this is. So, I didn't look to see what the image alt tag for this was, but it would probably say something like uh, dog being washed in Sydney, Australia. I mean, it's something that just kind of relates to your it's another way to get that keyword out there as an indicator and a flag for Google that, hey, I'm seeing this keyword quite a bit on this website. I should take another look at it and rank it. So that's the source code, right? You need to make sure that your website is properly um, structured in a way that Google likes, but even more importantly, you need to make sure you have content. And by doing the H1 tags, the title tags, the meta description, that is content. It's basically images and text that you're going to put on your website for your users. Um, this is, at the end of the day, this is the most important thing. Content is king, and it's not just about having the most content possible. Don't write a giant essay or novel about everything about dog washing, but think about your end user and what they are looking for when they are looking for dog washing, right? They probably want to know, like this example, it's great. Your blue wheeler service will last at least 30 minutes, depending on the size or breed. It'll be enjoyable for your dog, and we're going to give them a thorough clean, tender care, right? So then they go into using fresh, warm water and specialty shampoos, and we make sure we don't hurt their eyes or ears, and this page does go on, but think about what your users are looking for in this service and what would be important to them. I'm sure price is listed somewhere down here. That would be important. Because again, the more information that is here, people are going to come here to your website and they're going to stay on your website, and Google's going to use that as an indicator that, hey, people are liking this. They're not just popping back to the search result page to find someone else, right? So write your content for the end user and to give them everything that they would want to know to make a good decision and to choose you and your business. Okay, so that is relevance. Again, that's everything on your website that you control. So you own it, which is great. And this is really one of the most important first steps. You have to make sure that that your safety harness is on, that your oxygen bag is on before you can go and do this other thing and help others. So make sure if you don't have any of this, start on your website. Again, it's the easiest because that's the part you control. And it sets the stage for this next part. And the next part is trust. Again, this is everything off your website, what everyone else is saying about you. It's the authority that you are in this space. So I have an example to kind of explain this. So imagine if a primary school student came up to you and they just said, hey, Morgan Stradling is the best cricket player in the world. Hands down, this is the hot new item. She's the best. Like seriously, you need to buy stock in Morgan because she's the best. And you're like, okay, but what would that mean to you? It mean nothing, right? Probably don't even know who I am. You just barely heard about me. You have no idea who this kid is, and they have no authority because they're just some punk kid, right? Now, what if 50 primary school students came and said that exact same thing to you? They see you on the street and they rush you and they say, hey, Morgan Stradling, best cricket player in the world right now. You're like, okay, that's interesting. Still don't know who you are, but you might pay a little bit more attention to it, right? What if it's 100 or even 1,000? Again, the credibility of these random kids probably isn't very high, but the fact that there's so many of them is piquing your interest. Now, what if, Ricky Ponting, Michael Clark, Mark Taylor, and Brett Lee, they all called you on the phone, somehow got your phone number, and they said, hey, Morgan Stradling, best cricket player in the world, hands down, she's a goddess. You'd probably be very interested and take their word for that, right? Because they are authorities in that space. They themselves are the best. So if they're talking about someone else saying that they're the best, that is a huge level of authority in that. And that's exactly how Google works when it's trying to figure out how to rank all of these websites. Because again, we can toot our own horn all day long and say, I am the best whatever in the world. I'm the best dog groomer in Sydney, Australia. I'm the best lawyer in Sydney, Australia, or wherever you are and whatever your business is. Everyone thinks they're the best. Half the time when you look at the Google search results page, people actually put that in, the best dog groomer, it's almost cliche at this point because everyone thinks they're the best. And Google's not just going to take your word for it, right? So the way that they do this is through backlinks. Essentially, it's just links on other websites that point back to yours, plain and simple. If someone has spent enough time to put a link that goes back to your website, then that's an indicator to Google. Now with these, it's quality over quantity. Again, it's the 100 primary students versus the legends, I guess, for cricket players. But it also needs to be in the proper, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Space. They need to be in your industry, right? So it wouldn't make sense for a fishing website to have a link back to a dog grooming website, right? That's just spammy. That makes no sense. Why would this fishing website know anything about dog grooming? So you want these links to be in your industry. There's a variety of ways that you can go and do these. You can do guest posts on someone else and write a blog for them, and then include a link back at the end. There's a whole entire strategy on this, which we're not going to go into today, but just know that the more high quality links that you have pointing back to your website, that's again an indicator to Google that, hey, I should be paying attention to this and ranking this website for these keywords. So those are the two pieces of SEO. If you're the most relevant answer and the most trusted answer, then you're going to be ranked. And especially if you're better than everyone else, right? That's all Google needs. And I like to use the example of dating Google. So let's say we're really into Google. We want to be on the first page because again, that's the place to be. And it's like we're courting Google, and Google doesn't like us to basically take Google on a date and then have a marriage proposal at the end of the date. Absolutely not. Freaks Google out. They're not into that, right? And that's essentially what happens is if you're trying to do SEO work and you just do so much all at once and then think that's good, right? Like, oh, you spent a whole week, a whole day, you just spam the internet with links and you're like, I'm ready. I'm the best. I've done it. I've done SEO. That's definitely not how it works. Google likes you to take Google on multiple dates, time and time again, maybe on a nightly or weekly basis. It really wants to create a relationship with you because, again, Google has so many suitors that it's constantly going on dates with all sorts of people. So it has, the pick of the litter, if you will. And so it's not just going to take your word for it after one day or one date to say, okay, I'll rank you. It really takes time building this relationship with Google before it'll finally start trusting us and our website enough to rank. And with our clients, we typically give them this timeline, and this is true with Google. With ranking for SEO, it is a marathon, not a sprint. And that's just the way that Google works, unfortunately, which actually is fortunate because you're not going to have so many spammy sites come up and appear on the first page. You're building this relationship with Google, and the great thing when you do, you actually will stay there, right? Once you're on Google's good list, you typically stay there for a while unless your competitors start doing more than you, and then you might go back down. But during the first 30 to 45 days of an SEO campaign, this is where you are going in and you're doing all of your on-site improvements. Most important thing, first thing, have to do it. You will start building trust through those backlinks, but again, most important part during this phase is making sure that your website and your content, your source code is up to snuff. Then, as you continue to do this, around months 2 to 4, you will start seeing improvement with your rankings. For our clients, we stop tracking them. Like, we have a dashboard that shows where they're ranking over time, and many of our clients, they are on page 10 plus. And we stop checking after page 10 because, again, that's page 2 essentially is no man's land. Page 10 definitely is the point of no return. So a lot of our clients will start on page 10 plus, and which could be anywhere from the 100th search result to 200. It really just depends on how Google is putting the number that Google's putting on each page. But after doing SEO consistently, you will start seeing improvement in your rankings. So you're not going to be on page 1 yet, but you're going to start moving up. Maybe you're on page 6 and then page 5. Then you're on page 4 for a while. That's huge. Then by month 6, many will see page 1 rankings. Again, you have to put in the time. You have to put in the miles with Google. It's not always. Again, if you're in a more competitive industry, you're going to definitely take a lot longer. And one thing with SEO is you need to start with those long tail keywords. If you are a lawyer in Sydney, Australia, think of all the big lawyers in that huge city that already are the most trusted, the most well-known, the most credible. It's going to take a long time for a new guy straight out of school to say, hey, my law firm needs to be number 1. So start small. Start with maybe your specialty keywords and long tail things that will be easier to rank for. You're going to build authority with those, and by month 6, hopefully be on page 1. And then after month 6, it's 6 to 9 months, 6 to 12. Again, it really just depends on you and your business and the industry, how competitive it is. You're going to continue to stay on top of those, and then you at that point you already have authority for certain keywords. Then you're going to want to try to change your strategy and go for other keywords that previously would have been out of your reach and not even possible. Google would have laughed in your face and given the flowers back and said, bye, see ya, like not a chance, right? But now that you've proven to Google, you can start going for more broader keywords, or even other long tail keywords that maybe previously you weren't focusing on. So that really is the timeline for SEO. So we've talked about the why of SEO, why it's important, what it is, and how to do it, high level. So we're going to talk about 3 things that you can do right now to get started. We've kind of covered some of these, but the first one is add relevant content and keywords to your website. Yes, if you're a new business or even if you're a long business, you may think like, I have a website, it's great, but go and look at every single page on your website and see, okay, for my customers, is this providing the information that they are looking for and for those keywords that I want? You don't just want any customers, you're looking for keywords or customers for specific keywords. So customers coming in from those keywords, does this provide information that would help them choose me as a service provider or purchase my products, right? And just flesh that out. Make sure that your source code is correct, and just do all those pieces first. The next thing to do is to create individual product, service, or location pages. Super important. It ties with number 1, but you You may have just one services page and that's it. But again, if you have different services that you focus on, like the dog groomer, that you could see that they had a dog washing page, they had a dog grooming page. I've seen ones that have, toy poodle page or teeth cleaning. Make sure to have individual pages about those, and really, really make sure that those are built out and have lots of great information. Again, it's quality over quantity. Don't just create a giant master, novel that is the user is not going to read anyway, but just provide the key information that they would need for those keywords to learn about your business. And same thing with location pages. It's good to have, if you're a local business and you have multiple locations, it's good to have a page that has all the locations in one spot, but then it should link to an individual location page for each one of your locations. Because again, if someone's searching in one city versus the other, if Google sees that you have individual product pages for each of those services, that's great, because it's going to use that for ranking you on your Google My Business on the local map listing section. It's just good practice. And then the third, this goes for local businesses only, but go in and optimize your Google My Business profile. Even before that, if you are a local business and you do not even have a local Google My Business profile, get one right now. Like, just stop listening to me and go to googlemybusiness.com and create your profile or claim your profile. You may be one of those businesses that someone, a nice user went in and said, hey, there's this business here and I think it's great. And they put in a little bit of information, but you need to go and claim that. And the claiming process, the way that they verify that you are actually the business owner, they'll either send you a postcard to your business address with a code that you then have to put in on your profile. And I say optimize because it's not just a matter of having the page, the Google My Business page, and calling it good. Really go in and, just like your website, add relevant content and keywords to that page. Have your business name. If you have certain hours of operation, make sure those are correct and accurate. How many times have you gone to a business and then seen that that was actually incorrect? The Google My Business page led you wrong for one reason and they're closed. Incredibly disappointing. That person probably is not ever going to come back because they're going to be mad. Like I said, adding photos. Take a picture of your storefront, include a picture of your logo, maybe your team, all sorts of things. If you're a restaurant, of some of your favorite dishes, include a link to your website and your menu. There's so many things that you can go in through that page to go in and optimize. Any field that there's an opportunity, go in and do that, right? Respond to reviews. All of these things are indicators to Google that, hey, this is a great business. And if you have good SEO for your page, your website as well, that's going to help you rank for that local 3-pack, which is key real estate. It's, as a local business, that is your holy grail. You have to be there because it's a shiny object that users see and they click, especially for those searches. All right, so we've talked about a lot of things about SEO, what it is, how to do it, and it may be a little overwhelming, right? SEO, there's all these pieces to this puzzle, and maybe this is the first time you've ever heard about SEO, and you don't, other than those 3 things, you really don't know where to start, or you feel like, well, I don't know, I don't have a backlink strategy, or I don't have this. Don't worry. What I equate SEO to, and ranking on the first page, it's like the SEO work that you need to do to rank is like a 1,000-piece puzzle. Okay, there's 1,000 pieces that Google has said you have to have in order to rank. And it's not a matter of having all 1,000 pieces in there. It's just a matter of having enough and more than your competitors, right? Some of the smaller, uh, less competitive industries, you may only need 10 pieces and you're good and you're on the first page. Great. For some of these other industries, you may need more. And so it's really just a matter of consistency and doing the SEO work bit by bit. So of those 3 things, just start on one and just focus on that. Just one piece. Just put in the one piece. And over time, you'll be able to build that relationship with Google, get domain authority, and to prove to Google that, hey, for my product and service, for these keywords, I deserve to be there. So that is SEO. And I hope you enjoyed today's webinar. This was my pleasure. So what we're going to do, we're not going to be doing comments. We're not going to do live Q&A. What we're going to do is we're going to take all of the comments that happened, or all of the questions that were in the chat. We're going to take those and answer them and then send them out as in the follow-up email. So remember, stay tuned for that. And in that email, also remember to take the post-webinar survey, because that will help us understand what topics you would like to hear for future webinars. So again, thank you so much. I've loved talking with you, and be sure to follow me on social media at Morgan Stradling if you want to learn more about SEO. And then of course, follow GoDaddy Australia and all of our social channels, and looking forward to answering all of your questions. Thanks.